All right, we are back at the hotel, and as Mark Emmer put it, the Kansas City Jayhawks, as he was handing out the trophy. I don't know if you heard that, Tate. That's what Mark Emmer said.
Can I just jump on this real quickly? A lot of people have come up to me. They're like, "Who's going to replace Coach K with your hatred?" Mark Emmer, come on down.
The Kansas City Jayhawks, in Mark Emmer's defense, it is confusing that they're called KU, but it's the University of Kansas. So I understand how maybe he had a few too many.
True. That is true.
He had a few too many Coors Lights, and he was like, shit, what is it again? The University of Kansas Jayhawks are your national champions, and I'm going to give Tate a second to collect his thoughts. Tate's not crying like many people might have anticipated, myself included. I thought Tate might cry. I'm going to say this off the top. My little opening monologue is this, Tate, that this was... I'm a prisoner of the moment. If you listen to the show, you know that I'm not afraid to call everything the greatest thing ever after I just saw it. So, you know, I'm going to try to not do that and say that this is the greatest Final Four of all time. But this is a historic Final Four that I will remember forever. This Final Four, coming into it, having the 4 blue bloods. Congratulations, Villanova.
Villanova.
It rolls right off the tongue to say the 4 blue bloods. To have the 4 blue bloods meeting in a city like New Orleans, which is, you know, a historic, this is not like every so often the NCAA will say, let's try a new one, you know? Let's do a new.
This is a staple.
What if we did one in Salt Lake City? I don't think they've ever done that, but you know what I mean? Like New Orleans is a staple. There've been
not Denver. Remember Denver?
There's one in Denver. There's one in Seattle one time. This is a historic national Final Four venue.
Yeah.
And to have it here with these 4 teams, and obviously the Coach K part of it versus Carolina, the Duke that we talked about on Saturday, and having that all you know, thrown into the same pot, you stir it up and you're like, oh my God, this might be the most hyped Final Four of all time. This thing delivered, and then some. It was exactly what the sport needed. And as someone who covers this professionally and lives and breathes it, Tate, that like the years since the 2020 tournament was canceled, you know, we have been lost in the wilderness as a sport, as a community, as a college basketball collective, where you've been given some breadcrumbs along the way, and it's like, well, we'll bring it back, but like, remember, like
just keep going, just keep walking.
Some teams, like, weren't there teams that like was it Boston University played somebody? Was it Holy Cross? They wore masks when they played, and you're like, this isn't. There's no fans, and you're playing in mask, and it's all insane. And I know like nobody listening or watching wants to revisit COVID or anything. I'm just trying to like talk about like the path that we've been on. And there were moments that you and I privately were talking, like, is college basketball actually going to recover? I don't know. Like, maybe the fear was that you get to a point where people realize there are more important things in life. People live without college basketball as we know it, and they're like, you know what? Kind of don't miss it as much as I thought. Maybe I don't need this as much as I thought. And then you and I, for guys that our paychecks are dependent upon people caring about this stuff, there were moments where I was like, maybe I have to sell one of my Ferraris. I don't know. Like, will I have to downgrade my yacht? Like, it's terrifying to think about. That's the kind of stuff I was faced with. I'm gonna have to move like a mile inland off of the beach, and these are things that keep me up at night. And finally. And no, in all seriousness, man, like to have this Final Four, to have it culminate, like this was the first true Final Four we've had in 3 years, and for it to have all of these teams, to have it culminate in the way it did with the national title game that we just saw, those were my thoughts. That's what I was coming away from. I know if you're watching, I'm wearing a North Carolina jersey. Hopefully, you're smart enough to realize, like, you know, I'm okay with Kansas winning, because I do think that like having the Kansas Jayhawks win also makes a ton of sense in the sense that, as you've talked about, you hammer this home more than I do. 2020 was going to be Kansas's title.
Yeah, they were owed a title for 2020.
They were owed a title, and for us to arrive at this point, I told you
it was going to be 2020 Part 2.
Part 2. And we kind of came full circle, and that's my initial thing that I want to say out of the gate was like, I have called college basketball back. I've called COVID dead, and like we don't have to worry about it anymore a million different times. But I think this is the first time I actually truly feel it. And
you believe it.
And I know that whether it be pandemic, whether it be famine, whether it be gas prices rising, whether it be, I don't know, you name all the shitty things going on in this world, college basketball will endure. And that's like, that was like my big, corny, sentimental moment that I had as I was watching Mark Emmer call Kansas the Kansas City Jayhawks and hand them a trophy.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I felt like, we walked out, and I wasn't sitting with you, but I walked out after the game was over, after the last shot, and I just stood there and I watched. Them celebrate. I watched Kansas, and shout out to Kansas. Congratulations to the Kansas Jayhawks. I mean, what a second half. What a comeback. I thought at halftime there was a chance that Kansas could quit. You're down 15 points.
Yeah.
You haven't played a team like this so far on your run. Maybe you say, hey, it's just not our night. But the fact that they came out and didn't waver at all, in fact, played like a championship-level basketball team, first off, just want to give them their kudos because that takes a lot. And that's something that I think this Carolina team represented, throughout this season because, they were strike five for me, as we've talked about on the show. My father, at one point was like, this team is, I don't see it. I don't see a path forward.
Your father stopped watching the games, right?
Exactly.
And then they started winning, and he was like, well, this is a weird
And he just keeps working in the
now
yard while they're
watch.
playing. And then, he probably checks his phone. But, I mean, at the end of the day, and he sent me this text after the game. He was like, I learned a lesson. My dad's, in his 60s. But, he learned a lesson from his team that at the end of the day, when everything seems like it's not our year, we have a new head coach, we have all these bodies coming in, we don't like each other, things aren't going our way.
Dawson Garcia,
Dawson,
whatever.
all of it.
Yeah.
RJ is the point guard, Caleb's the point guard, all of that. You know what I mean? And the fact that they persevered and the fact that they believed in themselves and the fact that it worked, it shows so much. And I had a lot of people come up to me afterwards and they were like, we're the unforgettables. You know what I mean? We are.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I was going to, I guess we can get into it. I was going to save that discussion for later maybe, but we're here now.
I apologize, I have no voice.
Yeah, neither one of us have a voice. I mean, it is what it is. I was curious the hypothetical we had talked about, which is that you guys beat Duke and Coach K. The last two times he plays, you beat him in humiliating fashion, and he goes out a loser.
Won
and
four of the last five, yeah.
And you have that trump card forever. But what if then you turn around on Monday and lose to Kansas or Villanova? How will you feel about it? And you're playing in all the million different scenarios we were playing out leading up to this weekend. You always were kind of like, I'll be okay with it. We don't belong here. We're playing with house money, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
You genuinely believe that. After watching your team you won the race to 69.
Yeah, which I think
you were what, a minute and a half away from winning a national championship. You truly feel like.
I honestly.
Where's your head at with all that?
When I stood out in the concourse and I was looking, there's that little gap of space, and I was watching them, bring the stage, wheel the stage, confetti is falling. All I could think about was Isaiah Hicks in 2016, and I remember when Chris Jenkins hit the shot. He puts a hand up, confetti's falling, he wipes the confetti away, and then he just stood there and he watched them celebrate.
Yeah.
And as I was standing there and I was watching Kansas celebrate, which again, Kansas, you deserve all the credit in the world. I just sat there and it kind of hit me. One, how much this team had accomplished that I was standing here in a Carolina gear. I'm watching Al Wood walk by. I'm watching Jerry Stackhouse walk by. I'm watching Algie Crumpler walk by. JR, you name it. They're all walking by. And I'm like, I've never been prouder to be a Tar Heel. You know what I mean? I've never been prouder to be a Carolina fan. I've never been prouder to have these guys represent everything that I think is good about the game of basketball and why I love the game of basketball, because you fight. You never quit. And hey, you don't win every game. And Dean Smith said this, look, if you treat every game like life and death, you're going to die a whole lot of times, And it's not life or death. But it is, obviously, it means a lot to Carolina people. It means a lot to everyone that was here. But to be in that moment, to be on that stage, to play such a quality program, right? I mean, the a lot of people going into this game, they're like, you probably hate Kansas. No, Dr. James Naismith invented this game that you and I.
Kansas and Carolina are so intertwined.
Yeah, we're like brothers, you know what I mean?
In fact, when we were prepping for the live show, I prepared a game called Name That Blue Blood, where I was going to, we were doing on Thursday, where I was going to describe something, and then the audience.
It's a good game. I wish we would have played it.
I wish we would have played it. Damn it. And then the audience would have to say which blue blood I was describing. I remember one of them was this program built its reputation on the backs of names like Dean Smith, Roy Williams, and Larry Brown. And the idea was like you would hear it and you'd be like, Carolina, obviously. And then I'd be like, gotcha, bitch, and it's Kansas, you know?
Exactly.
But that just kind of illustrates like these two, not even just those three guys, but there's just like so many.
There's a lot of connective tissue, and like the game of basketball is like, this is why you play the game. And I mean, the real story, if you want to talk about the actual basketball game itself, is Carolina had an iron five, right? These 5 starters, and they were playing a up-tempo game, which is what Roy Williams, the primary, secondary break.
That's the Carolina
way.
basketball.
But we're playing Kansas, who wants to run, and our team has 5 guys. We have no depth. We have one, our best player.
It's also the Kansas way, as it turns out.
Exactly. It turns out the Kansas way. And, you know, Armando Bacot, I just want to take this moment in time. I mean, he goes out of this game, he's hurt, and I hope he's going to get it together and be okay. But the fact that the guy refused to not, like, he refused to quit. He refused to sit down. Early in the game, they put Puff Johnson in because the guy couldn't run back. You know what I mean? And when you see something like that, it reminded me of like
Puff Johnson threw up, dude. It reminds. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, it's just like Puff Johnson. Like, there's so many moments in this game where you're like, this is you're 6 deep. You know, this is the time where you say, hey, we had a great first half. Things were looking well, but we don't have the horses here to get this thing done. And Puff Johnson said no. And, you know, Hubert Davis was doing his best to try to sub guys out when, you know, they were in foul trouble and things like that. And Bacot, the last thing that we see him do on a basketball court tonight is give it his all until he literally collapsed on the floor and had to be taken out of the game. I mean, what else can you ask of this group? And I know that the haters, I know that the Duke fans at home that have been crying since Saturday, like, they're having a great time tonight. I'm sure the State fans who haven't won anything ever in their lives, you know, since they were born, I'm sure they're having a great time. And congratulations, you fellas did it. You had nothing to do with it, but congratulations. But to be in the arena and to be a part of that, you have to give, you know, we joke about tipping the cap. I tip my cap to Armando Bacot forever. If I ever see that man ever in the streets at any point in time, I'm going to give him the biggest bear hug because he fought and he clawed. And yes, it was not enough at the end of the day when you look at the scoreboard, but you can never leave that game and not have some sort of sense of pride. And, like, that's what Carolina represents to me, those guys.
Well, I think my role in our operation, I think what a lot of people watching and listening want.
I'm sorry, State fans, that was me.
What a lot of people want from me is to rub it in your face that North Carolina choked away the biggest halftime lead in the history of the national championship game. Or it wasn't the biggest halftime. It was the biggest. Was it the biggest halftime? They were down. They were up 16 at one point.
I think it was the biggest lead.
I would love to do that. I really would. Like, every part of every instinct inside me is like, I should be like cackling a little bit. I should be like, oh man, sorry, Tate.
But I'm gonna show it to Rob on Fox if you do.
Yeah, no. But honestly, this is true. I like my genuine that this team has won me over. This North Carolina team to where, like, even. Like, our part of it, I will troll you for this probably this summer. I'll probably text you, like you'll send me something, and I'll respond and be like, this reminds me when Carolina choked, whatever. But, like, as I sit here in the seat, I can't make the jokes I want to make because when you're in that arena and you're watching, like, I think R.J. Davis was the only Tar Heel that didn't limp or throw up or like get concussed or and he might have and I missed it. I don't know. But every time I looked up, like, Brady Manick's like rubbing his eyes. He's like, damn, dude, I just got hit in the face. And then Puff Johnson was literally puking on the floor. Bacot rolled his ankle. Caleb Love rolled his ankle. And at a certain point, it won me over as a neutral. I mean, obviously, I was wearing a Carolina jersey, and it helps that I'm in the Carolina section and everyone's
my mom next to you.
Yeah, we can talk about that in a second. But no, man, like, honestly, as a neutral fan, that team won me over, and I do appreciate your perspective on it because, like, that's how you have to be if you're a Carolina fan, which is it's like, I mean, how can you be disappointed in this? And it's not even the other thing I think is
you can be hurt, but you can't leave that game and say, like, Carolina choked or like they didn't put it all on the line. Like, these guys
they didn't choke. They ran out of gas.
They ran out of gas. Yeah.
Sort of.
And they gave it the guy could not walk off the court. Our best player could not walk off the court.
Exactly. And what
else can he do?
Which is like when the second half started and Kansas was chipping away,
They threw a lob on the
honest.
first play, and that was the beginning.
I wasn't 100% sad about it because as a neutral fan, I was like, I want to see a good game. So like, I'm glad this isn't going to be a Carolina 30-point win. I'm glad Kansas had some fight. And then they took the lead, and I was like, oh boy, wouldn't this be funny to see Tate crying later? Like, that's where my mind goes because I'm an asshole. But honestly, like when the clock hit 0, I was just like, dude, I've never seen fight in a team like that. Like my respect for all those guys. They are legends. As you said, if you see Bacot, we need to repurpose the phrase "it's on site" because every time you say that, it means you're gonna fight someone.
Fight someone.
What if it's the difference? Like if I see Bacot, it's on site. I'm gonna buy.
I'm gonna hug
beer
that
and give
man.
him
I'm gonna hug that man.
Just on site.
Tell that man alone.
So I have respect for Carolina too.
Of course. And look, I saw a lot of people saying, why didn't Coach Davis call a timeout? Why didn't he do this? Why didn't he do that? And you know what's so funny about that is that when Roy Williams retired April 1st of last year, like you said, we were in the forest, and me personally, I was totally in the forest. I've been stressed, I've been getting fat, I've been all like, I'm all fucked up. You know what I mean? Sorry for the people at home. I didn't know what the next, I didn't know what was ahead, right? And the fact that I get to watch Carolina in a national championship game and hear Carolina fans complain about the coach not calling a timeout, I feel like I'm watching Coach Roy Williams and Coach T. Smith again. You know what I mean? Like it was like, as stupid as that sounds, you know what I mean? It did feel like a little bit like I understand this. I know this. Yeah. This is familiar. And yes, it did not end the way that the fairy tale would have written it, but like, I mean, Jesus, man, what happened in Cameron Indoor, what happened on Saturday night, what happened on the run up to this, and I saw a lot of people talking about this team being choke artists. Like, hello, these guys are up 26 points against Baylor, 27 points against Baylor, and they choked that game away. And guess what they did? Yeah. Until they didn't. You know what I mean? Like, there was already a game against a Big 12 championship level team that they have already had this exact same situation with. And the last time they went to overtime and they got it done. And tonight they had a shot to send it to overtime where who knows, the same thing could have played out and they got it done. Yeah. It just didn't go in. And to me, like, there's a certain level of peace that comes with that because, man, you throw all the punches you can throw. And at the end of the day, if you get knocked out, you get up and you shake someone's hand and you say, you're the better fighter on this day. And congratulations to the Jayhawks. You saying you throw all the punches you can throw is, I think, a good segue. We can revisit your thoughts on Carolina, but I think maybe we should talk about the national champions. Let's talk about the national champions. I apologize for talking about this, Carolina. One thing that's interesting to me about Kansas winning a national championship, and I had this confirmed. This wasn't just my own belief, Tate. Like, this was confirmed through, God, how many days have we been here now? Too many. Talking to Kansas fans in New Orleans about this team, that this is Bill Self's second national championship. Yeah. This is his first one since 2008. We know this. Mm-hmm. Every Kansas fan I talked to I asked them, in the last 14 years, where does this kid, if all the 14 Kansas teams had to play each other, mm-hmm. where does this Kansas team end up on the power rankings of the teams that haven't won a national title since 2008? And they were like, honestly, like 13th maybe or 12th. This is insane that we're in a position where we have to beat an AC to win a national championship. That was what people were telling me last night. I kept getting that over and over. And it's not that they didn't like this team. It was just that this team lost by 1 million to Kentucky in Rupp Arena. The Kentucky team that lost to a 15 seed in the first round of the NCAA tournament beat the national champions in their home. Shout out to Kentucky. You also beat Carolina. Hang the banner, Kentucky. Hang the banner. We beat both national champions. But the stat about Bill Self never losing never losing in Allen Fieldhouse is always parroted. Like we understand that that's like a thing. Bill Self we were worried about fandom because fandom started. Yes. I think I put Allen Fieldhouse on the fraud power rankings every day. So if you're a Kansas fan and you're watching this team and these things that never happened with Kansas basketball are happening, you're like, oh, I just watched every so often you go home from Allen Fieldhouse with a loss, but it's not like an ass kicking like that. You're like, what the hell is this? And you're trying to figure this team out, and the point guard play is suspect, and David McCormack is like not. He's good, but is he a Kansas big? Is he a guy that we can play through? Yeah. The defense, the question marks with all of that. And that leads to this point where we meet New Orleans, and all these Kansas fans I'm talking to, again, they're like, man, listen, on the national championship, on the banner, all that kind of stuff, it's not going to tell the story of
we got our asses kicked by Kentucky, or like
or
Remy Martin wasn't as good as we thought he was all season. Like, it's not going to say all that. But to go back to the thing you said about you just have to throw the punches, I think that's the beauty of this tournament. I think that's like one big lesson that you learn is that it is such a crapshoot that if you're a guy like Bill Self, you get to a point where you're smart enough that you can't orchestrate your path to a national championship. You can't. Sometimes the road has to open up, and Kansas fans are going to take this the wrong way, because one thing I've learned in this NCAA tournament is that Kansas fans take literally everything I say the wrong way. I don't know how we got here with that. That's a whole nother story.
I picked Iowa.
I picked against every Final Four team. Guess there was only one Final Four team that was bitching to me the whole time about it. It was Kansas fans who, by the way, deleted all their tweets when they were bitching about the same Kansas team all season. But anyway, you can't orchestrate your path, and what Kansas fans are going to take the wrong way. I'm not saying that Kansas was lucky. What I'm saying is, you know, the draw they got with an Auburn team that we thought was suspect for, you know, halfway through the year, we're like, now hang on a second, what about these guards? Like, what is Auburn as good as we think? They got Providence and Wisconsin, who are quote unquote lucky. Then the bracket breaks where to go to the Final Four, they have to play a 10 or 11 seed. They go to the Final Four, Justin Moore is out. Carolina's banged up. That is not to say that Kansas is lucky. Do not take what I'm saying the wrong way. What I'm saying, Tate, is that you start to appreciate the NCAA tournament as an event, and that all you can do when you're in Bill Self's seat and John Calipari's seat and Mike Krzyzewski / John Shire's seat and Hubert Davis, all you can do when you're a coach of these types of programs is give yourself a shot, give yourself a punch. Yeah. And then you get to the tournament, you throw that punch, and sometimes it connects. But that was like my takeaway with Kansas, because like it is kind of funny to me. Like it's funny to me that Bill Self, how much he was implicated in the FBI stuff, it doesn't matter. What matters for our narratives, for college basketball narratives, is that Bill Self was in Kansas for cheating, for, you know, they got busted for all this FBI stuff. It is objectively funny that Kansas and Adidas were dropping bags left and right. Get implicated in FBI stuff. There's certain, you know, players that get implicated for certain things, Tate. And when the dust settles, the one team in the last 14 years that could get over the hump and win Bill Self a national championship was this Kansas team. Yeah, this Kansas team that doesn't have all those 5 stars, that doesn't have, that honestly looks unlike every other Bill Self Kansas team. The point guard play, the big men, and the defense, those were the 3 huge question marks this entire season. If you watch Kansas for more than one, you know, they would bring it together in certain games. But if you watched them for like weeks at a time, you're like, I don't know, man. Like, when I watch Kansas, they have a great point guard. When I watch Kansas, they have great big dudes. When I watch Kansas, they play defense. They're doing none of those things. Yeah. And tonight, the funniest part about it all is that it all got flipped on its head. Bill Self was going after the 5 stars. It wasn't the 5 stars that won him a national title. This particular Kansas team had all of these flaws, and those specific flaws, and by that I mean the point guard play and the big men and the defense, are exactly what won them this game. In the second half, they've locked up on defense. David McCormack should have been the most outstanding player probably in this Final Four. And Remy Martin was unconscious with step-back shots that he was hitting. Even though he had like 14 points or something, he was incredible. And there's like some sort of beauty to that, because you realize it underscores the insanity of what this tournament is, which, you know, and
it underscores the insanity of college basketball. Because if you had told me in 2018, 2019, when we were doing One Shining Podcast and Kyle was our producer and we did Good Guy, Bad Guy, Kyle's Guy, if you had told me that Kyle's guy, a guy by the name of Remy Martin, would be the reason why North Carolina would not win the national championship, I would have literally, you know, I would have laughed myself to sleep at the idea of that. And the fact that I'm watching Kyle's guy hit step-back shots and never miss, and, you know, have this amazing game. With that busted-looking jumper. With Bill Self over there being like, get this man out of my face. Like, it was the irony of the moment. And like you said it, I mean, the defense of Kansas, they stretched Carolina out. They made sure that, you know, they were not going to beat them off the dribble in that second half, and they got physical with them. And look, when you have 5 guys and you have no depth, I mean, depth is going to win championships in the NBA, and it's really going to win championships in college basketball when you get to this point in the season. Like you said, when things break your way, great, but you still need to have the depth to sustain and do it. And Carolina, they have been, You know, I mean, we've had, you know, if you were in a car, the gas light has been on E for about 3 weeks. You know what I mean?
You got
like,
to the point where you're like rocking back and forth.
And it's like, I thought we had 40 miles when we were on E, but like we're on mile 42 right now, and we need to pull over and get some gas. But I'm looking at those gas prices, and I'm like, that's pretty high. I don't know if we should pull over. Let's keep trying to go. And that's all Hubert Davis was trying to do, man. He was just trying to get, like, we're running on fumes. He was just trying to get it done. And Kansas, I mean, in that second half, they locked up and they played defense. And Remy Martin was exactly what they needed to have, like that X factor guy that could go get them a bucket when they needed it. And McCormack, I mean, he did a great job just being able to endure. I mean, the fact that he didn't foul out of this game, the fact that Lightfoot was able to take some of those fouls already, that was great coaching by Bill Self to like go in there and take those fouls for us. Carolina didn't have a Mitch Lightfoot behind Bacot.
Right.
They had Puff Johnson, who's a small forward playing the 5. Brady Manick, who's going to be a small forward in the NBA playing the 5. There was no depth, but also that kind of lends itself back to like the fact that you're fighting in this game is amazing, and the fact that Kansas had the onus on themselves to put it on themselves and say, like you said, hey, we've had some really bad games this year. We aren't necessarily the team of destiny. We aren't necessarily the expected team to win the national championship. In fact, we've kind of been like the blue blood that nobody wants to talk about. You know what I mean? Like, because when we got to the Final Four, it was like Carolina Duke, obviously. And look, we did it. Carolina Duke is here, and then Villanova, Jay Wright. Everyone's like, well, we love Jay Wright. Let's talk about Jay Wright. And then Kansas is over here. Meanwhile, they're the 1 seed.
They're
right?
the only 1 seed.
The only 1 seed in the Final Four. So, like, in some sense, like they got their due. You know what I mean? They were the best team that was in the Final Four. When you look at their roster, when you look how they're constructed, and I'll say this, and I know Oscar Tshiebwe was the National Player of the Year. I get that. But Ochai Agbaji, what he means to this team as far as having a lottery-level player on the floor for you that can, you know, we joke about being two-way player. That guy's a two-way player for all you NBAs. The fact that he can lock up on one
end.
Plays
offense and defense. That's
exactly.
Crazy.
Who would have thought?
How many players? How many players do that?
Who would have thought? But the fact that, like,
crazy.
he can impact the game and doesn't have to have 30 points, doesn't have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the fact that he could do that, he was one of the few guys. I mean, he and Ben Carroll are probably the 2 guys that you would look at and say, in the Final Four, those are those guys that could do that. And I think I would take Agbaji in this Final Four just because of the fact that, like, this guy's a senior, man. This guy gets it. He understands college basketball. He understands how to win a game and gut out a game. And the Big 12 is such a tough conference. And they were the tougher team. I mean, Carolina tried to fight back as best they can, but Kansas earned this win. I saw some people were walking out, they're like talking about, you know, ticky-tack. Like, it's not an official. This is not about the officials. I just want to say that. Like, and Carolina fans, we've never been about the officials. Don't let Kentucky fans leak into us. Like, leave that over here. That's for them. That's their job. It was never about the officials. It was about a team in that second half saying, we're the better team. We've had the better year. And we're going to win this game, and they went and did it.
Which, you know, the haters won't like it, but it's true nonetheless. I did say that Kansas would beat North Carolina in this Final Four. So because Kansas was the best team, as you said, coming into the Final Four, even if they would have played Duke, they would have won. Duke was favored because of coming into the Final Four because of the mysticism around their coach calling it quits, but Kansas was the best team of all the Final Four teams. They were 1 seed for a reason, and now they're national champions, and deservedly so. And that's the way it works. But so just going off of what I was saying earlier, like I can't help but just like start thinking about. I don't know, man. Like the older I get, the more I realize I'm a moron, which is not a fun paradox because like the long, like, you know, I really wish you would.
Yeah, the less you know, the better, kids.
I really thought as I got older, like I would think I was smarter, but it actually works the exact opposite. Because what you realize is the narratives that get built. I mean, this last run of NCAA tournament, starting with basically Villanova in 2016 when Jay Wright, who I have made so many jokes through the years about appearing on Sweet 16 sets for CBS because that was the Jay Wright move. Is he would play in the first weekend, lose, and then appear on CBS with his, you know, beautiful face and his perfect takes. And it was like, you know, we love Jay Wright, but at the same time, like, why is this man always on my television talking about the Sweet 16? Why is he not coaching? And then you start building a narrative that, like, Jay Wright can't get it done, right? And then Jay Wright does get it done, and he gets it done twice. And then Tony Bennett's the new guy that can't get it done, and then he gets it done twice. And I guess that's where, like, my mind goes with this Kansas team because, you know, if if any of the families of the Kansas players are watching, I apologize for insinuating that your sons suck at basketball and are not deserving of this national title, because that's not what I'm trying to say, Tate. But it's kind of, I would say it's inarguable that this is not a historically great Kansas team. It's not.
On paper.
On paper.
But
you know,
I will say this. Ochai Agbaji, and people laughed at me. That kid is going to go to the NBA.
Ochai Agbaji is
going to be a player in the NBA where we look back and people in like 10 years will be like, of course he won a championship.
He's a historically great Kansas player.
Yes,
I don't mean to diminish it. But the larger point I'm getting to is it like makes you just rethink. Even I guess your mind goes to Gonzaga and Mark Few, that they can't get over the hump or whatever. But you just realize like winning a national championship requires, as you said, just like punch after punch and just stepping into the ring and saying like, I don't know if my punch is gonna land this time.
Dude.
But we're going to swing it. And you swing and you miss, and you're like, damn it, I'm going to come back. And I'm going to. So it's not about, like, building a team that can win a national championship, per se. It's about building a team that can throw a strong punch, and then you just cross your fingers that hopefully it can land. And everything broke Kansas's way in this tournament. But also, they were, you know, like, so that part of my brain is like, damn, dude, Kansas got, whatever part of me is like, damn, Kansas got a little lucky. You go back to, like, but at the same time, they built a machine that can throw a punch. Yeah. And this is what this program is, and this is what this program has been.
Any of these other years, dude, they just didn't go their way.
2010, they were awesome. 2020,
2012, they were here. The title game and lost.
Dude, there were so many Kansas teams that were right here, and there's beauty in that, and that's what makes you keep coming back to the sport as a whole, and and it's great because you convince yourself as a program. Like if I was a Gonzaga fan and I was watching this, I would be so inspired that the same with Virginia 3 years ago, and I would be so inspired. Like, you know what? We haven't gotten there yet, but you realize we don't have to have a team that was as good as our 2021 team that went undefeated and still couldn't get over the hump. You could have a team that's like 31-10, and they could win the national title.
And we talked about it. I mean, in 1977, Phil Ford is hurt. North Carolina loses to Butch Lee and Marquette, and they win the championship. 1981, Ronald Reagan gets shot, and everyone in Carolina is like, we should not play this game. Bob Knight was like, I don't care. They got shot. Let's play this game.
You have to make shots.
I'm kidding, Coach Titus. But, Coach Dean Smith lost in 77, lost in 81. What did everyone write? He can't win the big one.
Right.
Coach K goes to the national championship in 1986, goes in 1990, gets blown out of the gym by the Running Rebels. They say, Mike Krzyzewski, he can't win the big one. What does he do? Goes back-to-back titles.
Right.
So, like, in college basketball, there's always, and we said it when Mark Few lost. I mean, there's always the growing pains of the trying to get over the mark. And look, I hate the NBA and I hate rings culture and all those conversations. But I will say, like, it has taught me this great lesson by hearing these idiots talk about it, because you realize that every championship, things broke your way. You know what I mean? Like, exactly. To win in any sort of...
Every ring is a Mickey Mouse ring.
But I mean, like, that is, like, there's never something that's going to be 100% perfect, and there's never going to be a world, and there's always going to be some sort of this happened, and therefore that allowed that to happen, da-da-da-da. So, like, you can rework it or re-engineer it or whatever you want to do with it, but at the end of the day, like... You got one chance to get it done, and they got it done.
And I guess for me, that's the greater point I wanted to make. Is that tonight was validating for Bill Self in that regard. That whatever Bill Self haters were out there saying that this man has only won one national championship. He had as many before tonight. He had as many national championships as Kevin Ollie Tate.
Yeah.
And that was a reality that
Coach Ollie.
Yeah, that Bill Self. That's a reality that John Calipari, by the way, still finds himself in. And John Calipari, lifetime contract.
Better Coach Ollie or Cal.
Yeah, exactly. But the validation is that it's process over results. And if you trust, I guess this works. Embiid, the process. There you go.
The process.
I was gonna say I didn't want to use the Sixers thing.
Joel Embiid is also the MVP. So
I forgot about Joel Embiid. It's nice. If you trust the process, the results will come. The results that you just have to keep throwing the punches, throwing the darts at the board, and trust that one of them's gonna hit. And I get that was the beauty for me of Bill Self winning his second national title with a team that, again, was probably not as one of the better teams of the last 14 years, but. It's validating of his process that I will continue to step into the batter's box. I will continue to swing the bat. Yeah. And damn it, at some point, I'm gonna make contact, and we're gonna knock this thing out of the park.
Yeah. 2018 San Antonio, we saw them in the Final Four. I mean, and then they just kept I just got the worst Venmo of my life, by the way. Cousin Sal just sent me my $1,000 because I told him before the tournament Kansas was going to win the championship, and he put $100 on it, 10-1. So I won $1,000. I want to throw my phone into the street as I'm saying that.
I'll tell you, give me the $1,000.
Yeah. But like this Kansas team, there was always a path for them to get to this position. But like you said, I mean, it always felt like if they couldn't have done it with Devontae Graham, if they couldn't have done it with Frank Mason, they can't do it with Thomas Robinson, if they can't do it with this guy or that, they can't do it with Andrew Wiggins and Joel Embiid. Who can they do it with? And in reality, who they did it with was a team that gelled together and they had continuity. I mean, continuity is huge in basketball, having a team that knows each other and who each other are. Jalen Wilson coming back this year was great for them, the guy that tested the waters last year. And McCormack played like a Kansas-level big in the tournament.
He was my most outstanding player.
I agree.
Nothing against Agbaji, but McCormack won them that game.
Exactly.
McCormack was
on Brady, that turnaround he hit late in the game on Brady when Bacot got hurt and was out. That was Carolina won the race of 69, but they won the race of 70.
Shit, dude,
so
he started
race of 70 guys. Maybe this is your time.
He started the game. I think his first 2 points were an elbow jump shot. He just looked like he was locked in from the start. And maybe some of that had to do with Bacot not being 100%. He was just licking his lips on the other side.
I mean, Kansas did their first 4 shots, right?
Yeah. Dude, Agbaji out of the gate, you thought,
I was very concerned that Kansas was going to blow
Agbaji,
Carolina out.
that looked professional, and I mean that like in a professional like serial killer type way. That like it was like a hitman almost. How like Kansas went to the tip and Agbaji touches the ball for the first time and it's just like 3 points in your mouth.
Yeah, he's like bang,
done, and just like stone cold. And you're like, oh my god. That was terrifying. And then
when he hit that shot, I literally turned to the shout out to my guy, Paul.
Call game?
I know. I looked at him and I was like, unfortunately, that's game.
Unfortunately, we can leave now. This game is over. And then McCormack hits the jump shot from the elbow, which like I know he's capable of doing that, but like
that's a good omen.
I think if you're Hubert Davis
good,
and you're like David McCormack's going to shoot 15 jump shots from the elbow tonight, he would have been like, that's pretty freaking
perfect.
Great. That's perfect. So he hits that, and you're just like, oh my God, Kansas is going to blow us away. As you said, Carolina, man, they got fight. They build the big lead. Ultimately, they run out of gas. I do like that you're not sad, man, because it would be a horrible look for you, if I'm being completely honest, if you were like, fuck, man, we were supposed to win another national championship. I would have.
Unfortunately for the haters, I'm not that guy, and I never will be. Bill Self was the first person at the 2019 Maui Invitational. We had stopped doing a podcast, and then we relaunched our podcast.
We met Maui. Yeah.
We
took Maui.
We
literally took Maui. We haven't been. There has been no Maui Invitational since then.
We've never been back.
We took it and
haven't gone back.
We didn't realize.
Maybe this year. But we went to a press conference, and this is when you mentioned all the, FBI, whatever, the playbook and everything.
Yada, yada, yada. I think we officially yada,
yada. I don't care to talk about it.
Yada, guys were arrested.
I mean, what
guys,
did they do? They didn't do anything.
The whole thing.
It's Adidas' fault. It's Adidas' fault. They actually frauded the university, so
Google it.
Google it. But I went to that press conference, and we had joked about the whole bit about asking the coaches and players. And I asked him, Coach, there's a lot of detractors out there, a lot of people that are saying that your program, is not really, what you may, portray it to be. Do you have a message for those haters? And, all shucks, man. I don't read any of that stuff on the internet, but I don't got no message for the hater. But that's where it started, you know what I mean? And the fact that Bill Self, in my face when I saw the race of 69 happen, and I was like, it's a done deal. The fact that the man who invented and opened up the door to the message of the haters said, I got one more message for you. Bang. And I thought that was a little poetic, and I have to give Kansas their credit because 2020 was their year.
2020 was their year.
Azubuike would have won National Player of the Year this year.
Dayton fans. Plug your ears. Turn the podcast
up.
I
do love Dayton still.
Dayton, hit the hey Dayton fans, hit the 30-second forward button a few times.
15.
Keep hitting it.
Yeah.
2020 was Kansas this year. It was. Kansas was gonna win. And Michigan State fans. By the way, Michigan State fans, hit that.
Hit that.
Michigan State fans, hit the 15 seconds back. Keep hitting it, and then to the point where I said Dayton fans hit it forward. Okay, now you hit it forward too.
Just keep doing it.
Okay, are we good? 2020 was Kansas' year.
It was Kansas' year.
But again, were they going to win it? I don't know, because the number one overall seed doesn't always win it. But that's kind of the point. Is like you just kind of keep getting. you keep giving yourself the best chance you can. You hope it breaks your way. You hope you hit the shots you need to hit. You hope luck is on your side, injury, luck, whatever it is.
Before the game, some guy I saw on the street, he goes, "Hey man, 30% chance tonight," says ESPN. And I looked at him, and like, you know, the reaction would be like,
Was this Jim?
No, just some random guy.
Okay.
Random guy, Kansas fan, and he was, you know, I think he was trying to be nice. He was just saying like, "Hey man, they're still disrespecting you, I guess." And all I could say, and the first thing that came to my mind was like, if you had told me on February 16th that North Carolina would have a 30% chance to win the national championship, I take those odds every day of the week. You know what I mean? Like, and like you're saying, like the process, like to be able to get it, to be able to be in the arena, like that is already something in and of itself. And to have a chance, to have a puncher's chance, I mean, what else can you ask for? And Bill Self has been every single year saying, "Hey, this is our year. We got a chance. This is our year. We got a chance." And it was starting to fall on deaf ears a little bit, where they're like, "I'm tired of this guy selling me a bill of goods, and it doesn't come through on the other side because we're Kansas. We win championships here." And guess what? He's the first Kansas coach to be a multiple two-time national champion. And that says a lot about, one, the fortitude of that program, and two, the fact that they didn't give up and they didn't fall.
Kansas deserves more national championships, honestly.
Program. I mean, they fostered the game of basketball.
I know Big 12 schools hate Kansas. I know there are plenty of people that hate Kansas.
Everyone hates blue bloods.
Everybody
people
hates
hate Carolina. Bloods. I mean, it's okay.
But honestly, Kansas is the most likable blue blood and has been, because they have the ultimate trump card, in my mind. They have the fewest titles of blue bloods. Not anymore. I mean, they got, what is that, 4? 5 now?
4, I think.
That's 5. 4. That's 4.
That's 4, yeah. That's 4.
52, right?
Yeah.
88, 08, and
in their mind, they should have won in 57. Will Chamberlain, but he lost to Lenny Rosenbluth,
Yeah, they should have. So hang that banner. They also have a couple, like, North Carolina hangs where all the guys on the team were dead, but then, like, 60 years later, some dorks got together, probably Duke grads, that were just like, hey, we should give out national title banners to 60 years ago. Hey, I think and then they looked at the number. That was how Ken Pom started, probably. Ken Pom was like, let's look at the numbers and figure out who won the 1919 national champion. And then, but anyway, Kansas is the most likely, because they have the trump card of, we invented this game. Like, and if you've never been to Allen Fieldhouse, that place is not a gymnasium; it is a museum. Like, you walk into there and you're like, you could be convinced, if someone's like not really into basketball and you took him to Allen Fieldhouse, you could be convinced that like James Naismith like spread his legs at half court of Allen Fieldhouse and like gave birth to a basketball in that place, and that's how the game started.
Yes.
Like you really could, like that's the vibe when you walk into that place, and for that reason, like it does feel, Kansas has always felt different. Kansas has always, but then you look up in the rafters at Allen Fieldhouse, you're like, wait, how come like UCLA has like 11 of these?
Yeah.
Kansas only has, wait, UConn has more than?
Yeah, I know.
Wait, what?
Of course.
That doesn't make any sense. How is that? Wait.
I mean, and as the blue blood to speak to, I mean, like Fog Allen, Coach Dean Smith, and fostered Adolph Rupp, who built Kentucky basketball.
The only school this was named that blue blood, by the way. Not to cut you off, but this is where you're going. Name that blue blood. The only school in college basketball that has 3 Division I arenas named after alums of their university.
It's
Kansas. Fog Allen, Dean Smith, Adolph Rupp.
I mean,
that's insane.
And if you think about the Smith Center and Rupp Arena, you know what I mean? Those are like, it feels like they're uniquely Carolina, uniquely Kentucky, but there is a path back to Fog Allen, or the path back to Dr. James Naismith. So, and I think that's always been the appreciation as someone who, I love history. I've always loved the history of the world. I mean, but the history of basketball has always been really important to me. And so that's why I think Carolina fans have always had a reverence for them, because we understand that, like, Coach Smith's father was in Kansas and was like, this is messed up. We should not be segregated. You know what I mean? We should be integrating schools, and like we should be playing basketball together. You know what I mean? Like, and that happened in Kansas. And when he came to North Carolina, a state that was in the South, obviously, and has all this history, slaves built the university and all this stuff. And Dean Smith was like, I'm going to get Charlie Scott to this school, and I'm going to make it. You know what I mean? Like, and it comes from like.
Everything comes from Adolph Rupp comes from Kansas.
But that understanding and that and if you don't have an appreciation for that, then I think you're right in saying that. That's why they have that likability as a program, because we all look, you can have your own arrogance, you can have your own blinders, whatever. I mean, Duke is going to never give credit to anyone but themselves, obviously, because that's who they are. But, like, if you have any sort of, if you have any ounce of humble in you, you understand where it comes from and you have an appreciation for it, which is why when you see Kansas win, you say, hey, I tip my cap.
Yeah, I've always been that way. The one time I've been to Allen Fieldhouse, I haven't always been. I cut myself off. I haven't always been that way with everything. I've always been that way with Kansas basketball, where Kansas beat Ohio State in the last Final Four that was here. Ohio State kind of choked it away against Kansas, and like Kansas is the only blue blood that when my team loses to them, I'm just like, I don't know, man. It's Kansas. Like it doesn't bother me that much. Yeah. I don't know why, but it's probably all those you talk about. The only time I've been to Allen Fieldhouse was when Ohio State and Jared Solinger. I think it was it the same year? It might have been 2013 after the Final Four. After they met in the Final Four, then Ohio State played at Allen Fieldhouse, and my dad and I drove over. No, it was the year before. It was that year. It was that year. It was 2011-12 because then that same day it was the Watford shot against against Kentucky. And we went over to Allen Fieldhouse, and Ohio State played a great game. It was a close game. Kansas wins in the end, and like, the one part of you is like, I should be devastated by this, or like we had a chance to beat a good team and get a good win and all that. Mm-hmm. And the other part of me was like, man, this was so cool. This place is cool. These people are cool. Like this program's cool. Yeah. Like, this is so cool.
And we love college basketball, right?
And I promise you, if I was in Rupp Arena, if I was in the Smith Center, if I was in Cameron Indoor, and that happened, I would not be behaving that way. I would have been like, to hell with all these people. I'm disgusted right now. Get out of my face. I need to go.
I mean, in UCLA, I just,
UCLA's up there too.
UCLA is a very similar situation to Kansas, I think, where it's like you go in there and you have an appreciation for what Coach Wooden did, and obviously the 11 titles, you have to give them their respect and their due. But you're 100% right, man. I mean, it hurts to lose the national championship game, and like I would never sit here and say like, let's hang the banner from beating the Bozos from Durham. Like I don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have no interest in that.
Wow,
I have no
that's
interest
mature.
in that.
Because I think that's another question people would have is like, are Carolina fans still going to pretend like they won it all because they
no, because we win titles. We have more titles than Bozos, and Bozo Magoos, like you guys have fun. Like go whatever you do, go clap and whatever. Jim's like, are we talking about me?
Jim,
you talking to me?
Jim, make that the title of the podcast, quote unquote. Bozos Magoos, you guys go have fun, whatever. Kansas wins the 2022.
But at the end of the day, we only hang banners for titles. Yeah. And that is.
And if a player is an All-American, you hang a banner for that.
Of course.
Or not even really an All-American, just like kind of popular. Like,
so hang the Brady banner, the Brady Manic banner, the Leaky Black banner. Yeah, you can hang their jerseys. I still think the idea of putting the Iron Five.
Did you just Coach K this, by the way? You just said we only hang banners for titles.
Well, this is a banner. It's not a banner.
Okay.
We're going to hang a jersey.
You said that earlier. You go, we only hang banners for titles.
Exactly, but this is a jersey, not a banner.
But I'm saying, if you go to the Smith Center right now, there are banners hanging that aren't national titles.
Well, the ACC titles and stuff.
All right, that's true.
Yeah, of course.
But
right.
there's
there's jerseys, but put a jersey in the rafters. 5 with all 5 of their names on the back of it, and I think we will.
And Ed Cota, put Ed Cota.
Yeah,
on
put
the
this
list
Ed Cota version.
Put this Ed Cota
Actually,
version.
take the jersey so Jim can't have it back.
Yeah, and take literally this jersey,
and then put the 5 names on the back of it, hang it up in the Smith Center because.
And then put Strike 5 on the back too. That says
Dude,
called Strike 5.
I think that's what it was. Once I hit Strike 5, and honestly, I mean, my dad.
Is this the Iron 5 or the Strike 5?
It's the Strike 5, I think. But I mean, my dad. I was just reading what my dad texted me because I thought it summed it up. But it really showed this group, this 5, proved what want and desire can do in the end. You know what I mean? And the fact that they wanted it, the fact that they desired it, and the fact that they went and got it done, and the fact that they embarrassed that rat. Oh my God!
So maybe do hang the banner. I don't know.
No, I don't hang the banner.
I'll hang the banner in my brain. I'll hang a banner. I might go to the Schottenstein Center, Ohio State, and hang a banner that says like I was at the Final Four that Coach K lost. I'll hang a banner because Ohio State, we have one national title. It was a long time ago. That banner's a little dusty. We need a new one. I'm gonna hang that one.
What year was that? 61.
60. Then they lost it in 60 and 61. Or no, 61, 62, I mean.
Okay.
Yeah, they lost to Cincinnati.
Yeah, don't hang the banner, but also I respect these 5
And then we
guys
lost in
forever.
07 when Florida cheated and they brought back all 5 starters. And we're also using the Wilson ball all season that no one else was allowed to use.
Ooh.
Yeah, and they cheated in that regard.
Ooh. Do you think Kansas was using this ball? Can I get something, Kansas fans? Can you give me something that makes me feel better about this loss?
Yeah.
Can I get one caveat?
Congratulations to Kansas, though.
Yeah.
Happy for Kansas. Happy.
I'm happy for college basketball, man. Like
it was a huge W for college. I think hanging the banner for college basketball. I think we go to the NCAA
we got rid of the
offices.
biggest egotistical a-hole the sport has ever seen. We never have to see him again.
Yep.
We got one of the greatest programs, another national title that they were due and deserved 10 years later after they lost to Kentucky.
And 2 years after COVID took one from them.
Exactly.
Yep.
And number 3, North Carolina submitted the fact that they're here. They're not going anywhere.
That one we
and
don't.
Coach Davis is going to be a force to be reckoned with moving forward. And I think those are 3 good things.
I think you're kind of losing the plot with the third one, but, you know.
Coach Davis.
You're on fire. I'll let you go.
Coach Davis, love you forever.
Also, all the haters that say the Big Ten can't ever win national championships, you're going to be eating crow when Kansas joins the Big Ten in a few years. And we're like, dude, we won it in 2022, so kiss our ass.
You guys are going to pull Maryland again.
And we won it in 2002 with Maryland. Yeah. So
I think
I
that one
read a
hurts
book.
the most. I also, a lot of people have been reaching out to me. They're like, what is the next, like now that, now that the rat's been trapped, like what moves, like what is the next step? What is the next objective here? Here's the objective, folks. We're bringing Maryland back to the ACC.
Okay, I like
Maryland
that.
is coming back to the ACC. I don't care, hell or high water, what it takes. Maryland's coming back to the ACC.
It's going to take maybe Notre Dame. I think I want Notre Dame.
You want you want Louisville.
I want Louisville. I do want Louisville. I want
Louisville,
Notre Dame.
And right now,
Louisville. We'll give you Rutgers and Maryland. You give us Louisville, Notre Dame.
No, I'm keeping Notre Dame.
Dude, what?
Yeah, I'm trading Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh and Louisville.
All right, we'll give you.
Sorry, John. John's a big guy. He's like, are you kidding me?
We'll take Pittsburgh. We'll take Pittsburgh's expiring.
Yeah. Is this how the NBA works, by the way? Is this like what Danny Ainge does all day? Him and Big Checker just on the phone?
We'll give you Maryland and a school to be named later. When the Big 12
protected pick.
When the American Athletic Conference dissolves,
yes,
and some go to the Big Ten, we will take a few of we'll take Memphis probably, but then when we decide Memphis isn't a good fit, we will give you Memphis in 2039.
Yeah.
If you give us Maryland and Notre Dame.
I just want Maryland back. I just think it makes so much sense, and like they need it. I don't think it's gonna happen now. I don't think it's gonna be like in the next 5 years. But I think when Kevin Willard, when the era ends, I think that's when we go back in. Yeah. That's when we jump back in the pool. And Scott Van Pelt.
They hire Shaheen Holloway.
Scott Van Pelt. Yeah, Shaheen Holloway. Scott Van Pelt, you're the man, and I really need you here because I think it's good for everybody. The ACC is a charter member. Maryland's a charter member of the ACC.
Scott Van Pelt calls Big Ten teams corn people, so I think he's on board with you. That Scott Van Pelt.
I've never heard something more confirmed that they have to come back to the ACC.
No, the Big Ten. This is why Kansas belongs in the Big Ten, and Maryland get the hell out, and Rutgers get the hell out.
We want you, Maryland. We love you, Maryland.
I figure it out. Like, what is a blue blood is a discussion that goes on. What is a Big Ten team? Like, what feels like a bit like the reason I feel like Louisville belongs to the Big Ten and maybe Notre Dame and whatever else is, do you know how to play euchre? If your students play euchre, do you know what euchre is?
I mean, we played
exactly. Carolina.
I didn't know until I went there, and he was like, "Let's go play euchre," and I was like, "What? Rick Bucher?"
Carolina, you're not going to be in the Big Ten. Sorry to say.
No, we don't. We're okay.
If you know the rules to euchre,
we played, but I didn't know at the time. But yeah, we played. Look, Notre Dame. If we have to sacrifice somebody, I guess we'll sacrifice them.
Yeah, Kansas. I want Kansas in the Big Ten. I wonder if I'll still like Kansas.
We're all alliance at the end of the day.
I think the Big 12 is going to be really good. I mean, by the way, Big 12. All the Big 12 offices are watching this. They're like, bitch, we have the last 2 national champions.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, Big 12 is the best conference in basketball.
And Houston's joining. What the hell is that? Houston's joining. BYU's joining. Cincinnati's joining. Who was the other one? UCF?
Yeah.
Whatever. They're also joining.
Oh, they're a good program. Shout out to Coach Coggins.
Almost beat Duke in 2019. People forget.
Aubrey Dawkins.
But the Big 12, I mean, the Big 12 is the conference in basketball has been. It's been cemented again tonight. And I think losing Texas and Oklahoma in replacement of those four, I think the conference gets even better.
Great for basketball. Great for college basketball, yeah.
And it's not, Texas and Oklahoma have good programs, but like the cumulative of those four joining is gonna, I think, more than make up for the two that they lost. Should we talk about our own personal experience? I think we put a nice bow. Is there anything else from like the game before we get into like, because I want to talk about my experience adopting Carolina fandom, but I also don't want to shortchange like our discussion of the actual game. I have we given everyone their props. Christian Brown.
What do you have? 12 rebounds?
Yeah.
13 rebounds. I mean,
Tip of the cap to him.
Yeah.
I don't know what else. What else is there?
I mean, honestly, I think we've talked about the game enough. I mean, in general, though, we got to talk about the superstitions.
I was gonna say, okay.
Talk about your adoption and everything.
The last shout out I was gonna give was a bad shout out, so we don't need to do that. I was gonna say, never mind. It's a bad shout out. Like it was literally like you did this, but it's a good segue because you did this. I felt the entire time sitting in the Carolina section. I felt like Jim must have felt in the suite at Ohio State when we went to the football game and the Buckeyes lost to Oregon this year, and he had a finger pointed at his face and it was basically like, you did this, get out.
You did this, yeah.
That's how I felt the entire, this was my fear the entire time, was that all the Carolina fans were, at some point, some drunk asshole was just going to be like, it was you.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So when you're up 15 at halftime, I was like, thank God I don't have to deal with it. I really, truly did not think the game was over, but I was like,
neither did I.
At least, like,
I told everyone in my row, because there was people celebrating. I told everyone, there was very nice people in my row, but they were all like, acting like they already won. I said the second half starts with a 10-2 run, and hey, then it's a 7-point game, and they were all like, what? And then when they came out and had that joke, I was like, what I tell you, stand up, start clapping, let's go.
I didn't think the game was over. I was just taking it. At halftime, I had a big sigh of relief because the way the game started, I was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a lot of fingers in my face. So was it 9-0? It was 7-0. It was 7-0, then 7-3, then whatever. But Kansas jumps out the big lead. They look great out of the gate. And I was like, oh, no, this is a bad night for me. This is going to be a really bad night for me because people are going to think the Titus Curse is back. In fact, a lot of people were coming up to me like, dude, what are you doing here? The Titus Curse is on. I was like, did you not get the news?
Listen to the podcast.
Did they not deliver the Titus Tate Times to your front steps that tell you that the Titus Curse was dead? So here's how I got to the national title game was you told me, first of all, we went to Dave and this was a hilarious scene. I'm going to tell this story that by way of connections that you have through the University of North Carolina, we had access to the Rams Club. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
My
mom, everyone's in the Rams Club. Yeah.
Everybody's in the
Rams Club. It's like, when you get done with school,
You know that tweet that's like, rent $1,100, food $400, like freaking
your expenses. Yeah.
World of Warcraft, $47,000. Somebody help me with the economy. My family's dying, whatever. I feel like the big expense for your family is North Carolina sports.
Yes.
Like that was my experience. Talking to your mom, I was like,
of course.
Your mom's like, we're broke, but we always have great seats for the Tar Heels.
Yeah, whatever it takes, baby.
So anyway, Tate looks at me and he's like, at 4:00 there's this thing at Dave and Buster's, of all places, which is just a hilarious way to start a sentence. At Dave and Buster's is the Carolina alumni deal. We're gonna go there before the game. Do you want to come? And I was like, absolutely. I mean, that seems fun. I love Dave and Buster's. I'll play Papa Shot all night. Like, let's go. Let's play some games. So we go there, and it's all Carolina people. And then while we're there, we're talking to some people. They're like, do you have tickets? I'm like, I think we have tickets. I don't really know where the tickets are. We had I felt like by the end of the night, we had like 13 tickets for like the four of us in this room that needed them. We had a million different tickets. Most of them were bad seats. Some of them were good
all
seats.
All 600 level,
Whatever. We're like, we'll deal with it later. Like, let's just collect as many tickets as we can get because people were giving them out. They're like, my buddy, he flew home. He thought we were losing to Duke, so he didn't think we would need these. You guys want them? And I was like, I'll take them. So we're like, let's just amass as many tickets as we can get, and we'll go to the stadium and we'll figure it out later. And then we get to the stadium and we start sorting it out. And we're doing head counts. It's like the scene in Home Alone before they're getting on the plane and they're like counting.
Where's Kevin? Yeah.
I think I was Kevin. Maybe Jim was Kevin. Jim ended up in the nosebleeds.
Jim was Kevin.
But in that moment, I felt like I was Kevin because we were counting them all up, and then you look at me and you're like, so here's the thing. Your ticket's a 600 level ticket, but I think we can screenshot the 100 level ticket, and we can get you down in the section. We'll figure it out later.
I had it to Charlie, my boy Charlie, who was here on Saturday, gave me his ticket, but I only had one ticket in the Carolina section, and I wanted to sit where I had in the for Saturday. So, but I didn't want to also be sitting in the 100 level with all Carolina fans.
Right. And then I'm up.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be close enough to you so where I could like observe you as the game was going on, and I could report back to the friends of the program what you were doing, which was. There's not a lot to report back. Tate was losing his mind at every bounce of the ball. I don't know. That's about it.
There you go.
So I do the screenshot deal because like all the tickets are on the phone now, which is great because if you just simply have a screenshot of the ticket, you're like, I swear this is my ticket. And we went down. I was standing next to you for the entire pregame. We're in the Carolina section. It is unequivocally all Carolina people.
Yeah.
To the point that in our aisle, it's Carolina legend after Carolina legend walking next to us. And I gotta say, dude, I know for all the Carolina people that go to the Final Fours, like this is a normal occurrence to see these guys. It was so cool for me as a neutral observer to see Mitch Kupchak. And then Jerry Stackhouse and Antoine Jameson and Tyler Hansborough and Bobby Frazier. Shout out Bobby Frazier. Legend, by the way.
Live show legend.
Absolute legend. To see all these guys. And then Roy is just like a man of the people walking. And I'm like, dude, this is pretty sick. I can't lie. This is sick. This is actually very sick.
Reggie Bullock, Theo Pinson.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I was like, this is really cool. And I knew it was cool because I struggle sometimes with recognizing basketball players when they're not in their jerseys. Mm-hmm. And I knew every single guy that was walking by. I was like, that's Reggie Bullock, number 35, North Carolina Tar Heels.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, what is happening to me? Am I a Carolina guy? But then, like 8 minutes before tip, because you, as you said, you only had the one seat. I was in a stolen seat. I was committing a federal crime, I believe. Mm-hmm. And am I a bad boy? I don't know. You decide. But
B-A-G or B-A-D?
Yeah, you're saying bank or bank.
Who knows?
Then a guy comes and he's like, "Hey man, you're in my seat." The worst words you can hear when you're a seat hopper.
Well, because I thought the two people next to me were people that I knew, and then they had given their tickets away to people that they knew, but I didn't know. You know what I mean?
I was counting on...
Because if it was two of my friends that were girls that I thought they were going to be there, I thought to myself, we can squeeze. You know what I mean? That's what I was thinking. I was like, we can squeeze. Because I'm not sitting down. I was like, I'm not sitting down this game. I don't need a seat. I just need space to
squeeze. Let's squeeze.
Let's squeeze, yeah.
Let's. I feel like in 2022, saying you wanted to squeeze with two girls probably can get you in trouble, can get you canceled. But
it's a Carolina game.
But at the same time, it's a sound plan, and I was with it. But they were not two women. It was two randos, and they were like, "You're in my seat, bro. Please leave." But to the rescue comes Mrs. Frazier.
Yes,
and she says, "Mock." I got terrible accent, by the way. This isn't what she sounds like, but this is how I hear her in my head. Is like I can't do a southern accent. She was just like,
we need Coach Titus to do a southern.
She was like, "Mock, I can't even."
You're Andy Bernard doing a Savannah accent right now.
There's been a murder.
It's like molasses falling out of your mouth.
You got the bright lights in my face, and everyone watching, I can't do it. But she's got the most, like, it's not a southern accent where you think she's dumb. It's a southern accent where you think like everything's gonna be okay. Mm-hmm. You know, where like
she's a first grade teacher of 30 years.
Her voice gives you a hug. You know, she's got like that sort of voice, and she's like, "I got the greatest news, Mark. There's a seat down by us. Why don't you just come on down by us?" And I was like, "Mrs. Frazier, yes. I want to come." She goes, "I don't believe in the Titus Curse." She's like, "In fact, it's always when you're next to Tate." She's like, "Maybe you being next to us will be good." So I was like, "Listen, great." And your mom's sitting like 12 rows ahead of you. She's got better seats.
No, exactly. And there were so many people that were coming up to me, and they were like, "Where's your family?" And I was like, "They're down there." And they're like, "Where's Titus?" I was like,
he's also down there.
And you're like, "Why is Titus sitting with your family?"
Yeah. I literally sat with Tate's whole family, and Tate sat by himself.
Rob Stone, shout out to Rob Stone's at the game. He came up to me. He was like, "What's going on, man?"
Rob Stone's between us.
Yeah, Rob Stone. It was like if you were a Fox fan, you'd be like, "There's Tate.
Yeah, there's
Rob Stone, and there's Titus." So it was like
I would turn around to shout. I would turn around to like give you a head nod, and then
Rob Stone's like,
Stoner's looking at me like holding up a beer, like, "Yeah." It was cool. But But like I was so close that apparently I was getting on television. They would cut to the Carolina fan section, and people were screenshotting it and sending it to me on Twitter and stuff. And I was like, "This is amazing." That I'm the guy. We had the Titus Curse forever to the point that
you're the new Dan Katz.
To the point that like Carolina fans see me and they'll like flip me off. They'll be like, "Dude, I hate what you've done to my program." And I'm like, I've literally done nothing. I just watched the games. And now all of a sudden I find myself close enough to the court that I'm getting on the like they're cutting to Tyler Hansbrough and I'm in the shot. I'm sitting next to MJ and I'm just like, "Hey everybody,
hey buddy,
it's me, big Carolina fan." So about
this is the whole first half you sat with my family.
Yeah, game. In fact, the first like at the under 16 time out of the first half, Rob Stone comes down 5 rows and he does the "you did this" move and he points his finger in my face and he goes, "Titus, if this continues, you got to get the hell out." And I was like, this is what I feared the most.
You really did that?
Yeah.
Shout out to Rob Stone.
No, I mean he did
Shout out to Rob Stone.
He did it in the Rob Stone way, where you're
you're like I do need to get out.
Rob, I'll do literally anything you ask me to do, dude. Like I'm not, of course. Well, yeah,
of course.
Why would I stay? Yes. Do you want me to kill myself? I'll do that. If that's what it takes. Like yes, Rob. What else can I do to help? But then Carolina, as we know, they build a big lead, and all of a sudden everyone is like, "Never mind, don't move, Mark."
Yeah.
It went from like, "You get the hell out of here."
Yeah.
Like, you don't belong. It was you that did this. To, on second thought, actually don't move at all. Don't move a muscle.
Yeah.
Like I pulled out my phone to like text somebody and they're like,
put the phone away.
And I'm like, "Okay, sorry. It's I'm throwing my hands up. But then at the under 8 timeout, I had to piss so bad, dude. Mm-hmm. I had to piss so bad. And I am to paint the picture. Your mother is on the aisle. I think your brother's sitting next to her. Was it your aunt?
My aunt, my first cousin.
Yeah, your cousin. We're sitting next to them. And then I was 5 deep, right? Mm-hmm. So in order for me to piss, I have to be like, "Hey everybody, can I just slide through you guys?" Which as I was reading the room, I was like, there is no world in where your mother's letting me move.
Yeah. My mom is like the person that if you called our house during a Carolina game and she saw the caller ID, she'd be like, "You're dead to me."
She literally asked me
you don't call her to Carolina
at Dave and Buster's. She asked me if I had the same underwear on I wore on Saturday, and I was like, "Mrs. Frazier, why in God's name would I wear the same underwear?" And she's like, "Because they worked on Saturday."
Exactly.
And I was like,
"We're superstitious."
I was like,
"Some people are a little stitious. We're superstitious."
So halftime comes. And there's commotion in the section, obviously, because people are going to get beer, people are going to the bathroom, and I feel like I'm going to make my move. I'm just going to go for it. I can't hold it anymore. And I decided I'm going to go piss. But, again, first world problems. Our seats are so low to the bench that now I have the furthest climb up the stairs to get to the pisser. So by the time I get to the pisser, so much time has passed. I finally pee. I try to come back, but the game has already started. Like the second half has already started, right? Like the comeback is already kind of happening. And then you text me because your mother had texted you and said someone had taken the seats that I had left because I was in obviously stolen
didn't
seats.
have a ticket. Yeah, exactly.
And the belief was that these were the people that own those tickets.
Yes.
So now, whoa, that was weird. That was a bad voice crack. Now I am pacing the concourse, unsure. Meanwhile, I'm on like Twitter because I have no one to talk to, but I'm watching the game on the television. But I'm also like, tweeting through it and all this stuff. And I am stuck in this weird zone where I have been led to believe that the whole reason Carolina had a 15-point halftime lead is because I was sitting in that seat. Yeah. And I don't want your mother to kill me. She's a lovely lady. She's done a lot for me. She rolls out the red carpet every time I'm around her. Lovely woman. And I want her to be happy. And I'm like, I want to make sure Mrs. Frazier doesn't point a finger in my face at the end of the night and say, you did this. Yeah. You did this. So I'm like, I got to get back down there. Yeah, but I'm not the rightful ticket holder. So like, how am I going to kick a guy out of his seats? So I was like, what should I do? Meanwhile, everybody's tweeting at me like, Titus, whatever you're doing right this second, keep doing it.
Yeah. They're like,
this is hilarious.
They're like, this is great.
This is all great. So I'm pacing the concourse,
the haters.
unsure of what to do. Your mom comes up, because I was texting.
I texted my mom and I was like, basically figure it out. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know what else to say, but I was like, figure it out.
Well,
like,
Carolina's
who are these guys? And my mom's her action plan was, well, if Mark can't sit here, I will go to Mark.
Yes.
Which is like the inverse of the Titus Curse habit. So my mom thought you were a blessing. So my mom sprints by me up the concourse, you know what I mean? And she stops by and she goes, I'm going to get Mark. I was like, great.
Yes. And I'm just sitting there in the concourse watching on the monitor that's like
Carolina's down 6 at this point.
Yeah, it's like a half. It's probably a second and a half delayed. Where it feels like I would almost rather be like 5 seconds delayed because you hear the cheers right after or you see the ball go in like right after you hear the cheers, and it's kind of like breaking your brain a little bit. I would rather hear the cheers and then be like, oh, a cool play's coming up, and then watch it all unfold almost.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm dealing with is like I hear the cheers right as the ball, it was a weird dynamic, but I was like, I don't want to move. I don't know what to do. I don't know, like if I go sit in the 600 level seat that I probably should have started in, is your mom going to be mad at me? I was like, I don't know what to do. I freeze. I just stay right there. I'm watching the game in the concourse. I'm like, I got a beer in my hand. I got a Coors Light. We're all good. Everything's good. Then your mom comes sprinting up in a panic.
Yeah.
And she's like, Mark, someone's in your seat. They've ruined everything. And I was like, I know, Mrs. Frazier. It's not my fault. I take full responsibility, but it's not my fault. I don't know how to fix this. And she's like, I don't know either. Let's figure this out. She stands right next to me, and as soon as she stands right next to me, Carolina goes on a run. I think they maybe retake the lead.
Yeah,
retake
the lead.
They retake the lead. And she
they got up by 2, yeah.
She looks at me and she goes, don't move. And then I was like, all right, I'm not going to move. As this is happening, you text her, because your brother had said that the seats that I was sitting in, the people that came and sat in those seats, they don't actually have tickets because your brother confronted them and said, hey, can I see your ticket? And they were like,
shout out to my brother Gil. My brother Gil was like, you know what? It's worth the risk here. Let's kick these people out.
So your brother kicks him out. He calls their bluff. He's like, you don't have those tickets. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Then he texts you text me and say, go back. I don't have your mom or your brother's number, but they're both talking to me. And I get instructions that I'm now supposed to go down there.
Yes.
And now my brain is really in a pretzel because I was there for the first half. Everything was going well. I'm up here with your mother for the comeback, the second half comeback.
Yeah, should we leave?
So I'm like, should I leave? Should I go back there? Your mom makes the call. We should go back there. We go back there. Like Carolina plays well. And the whole point of saying all of this for those listening that are confused and you're trying to you're writing down your notes and you're like, so where are we at in this narrative? Yeah. That was me the entire night. I was like, I don't know. Am I allowed to?
Yeah.
How many times do I shake
the blessing of the curse.
Dude, when I went piss, I was like, how many times am I supposed to shake my penis after I'm done pissing here? Like, am I going to upset?
Welcome to my family.
Yeah.
Go where you go, do what you do. Yeah.
Dude, that was... So
that guy, those two guys that sat in those seats literally lost Carolina the national championship.
Yeah.
That's the moral of the story. Those guys who would do something so egregious like not have the ticket and then sit and see that you don't have your ticket, they are the ones that lost Carolina the national championship.
So when the buzzer hit 0, because Carolina won the race to 69. In fact, there were a lot of people in the section.
Oh man, the worst part about it was when Carolina won the race 69. Like we're sitting amongst Carolina people, and there was very lovely people that liked the podcast, and I really appreciate it. But when Carolina won the race 69, it happened in the Duke game, and it did work out. But when it happened tonight, there were so many people that were like,
so many dudes.
They were like,
same as
they're like, we did it, and I still had like in the pit of my stomach, like I didn't feel like we won the race. You know what I mean? Like I was like, yes, they had 68, we had 69, but I felt like it could have easily.
Something was off.
Yeah. It didn't feel the same.
This wasn't a good 69.
Yeah, it wasn't.
This isn't a clean 69. Yes. This is dirty. This felt a little dirty. Same thing happened to me, by the way. Carolina wins, and then just like all these, I just hear Titus, and I'm looking around. They're like 69. I'm like, yeah, dude, sex number. That's sick, dude.
Tight.
And I started like fake packing a dip, and I was like, I can do that too. How cool is that?
Sick.
Fucking.
Yeah, I can do that too.
Yeah,
there you
look
go.
at that.
I used to dip.
Say I'm not a real
Don't dip, kids.
All the Carolina people say I'm a poser, dude.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's Southern, dude.
Euchre.
Southern. So then when the clock hit 0, that was my fear. It was like, am I going to make it out of this arena alive? And I'm proud to report that I did. It was fine. I was treated well. You showed me a good time. But that was the most
If you had been able to
thing
stay in your seat the entire time, though, or the seat that was next to my family, Carolina wins the game.
Hang that banner. If Titus would have, if those two assholes would have taken Titus to see, Carolina would have won.
The moral of that whole thing is that, as confirmed on the show weeks ago, the Titus Curse is dead.
Is it dead? I didn't want to say it. It is still dead.
It is dead.
Okay.
And in fact, it's so dead that my mom was trying to get you to be a part of the good juju. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if you were actually cursed, there's no way that you would be a part of the juju. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I'm going to take a little credit, or I'm going to take some credit for the loss because I wore a different shirt underneath this pullover on Saturday.
You did this.
And
it was you.
And the shirt smelled so bad from the beer and sweat and everything that was dumped on me when they beat Duke that I could not wear it in good faith. I tried to spray it with Febreze. I tried to get the stupid freaking Hampton in. I mean, they're not a sponsor, but try to get them to help me.
Are they a sponsor? Hampton's not.
They're not a sponsor. Okay.
No, what is
try to get them to help me. They could do nothing. So I couldn't wear. I put the shirt on because I was trying to create it, but it reeked. You know what I mean? Like if you guys were around it, you'd just be like, "This guy smells like straight BO."
Yeah.
And I could not exist like that.
It'd be weird to have two of you and operate.
But it's my fault. You know what I mean? Like I said at the start of this podcast, I was Isaiah Hicks and the confetti, and I watched them, and I went to the locker room, and I said, tapped my chest and said, it was my fault.
This is the birth of the Tate Curse.
It was my fault, just because I didn't wear the shirt. And Coach Williams and everyone was looking at me, and they were like, it's not your fault, but we're going to work hard this summer, and we're going to come back. I thought it was 1982, but it was 1981.
Okay.
Heels are coming back. 2023, the year of Michael Jordan.
I don't know how I fit into this picture, but
you're gonna be there.
Figure that out later.
Good juju. You're gonna be there.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it is. I will say, like, I when I do the podcast, I like getting under your skin and poking at Carolina and stuff. But when you're in the arena, I mean, of course you want to. I don't know. I'm gonna get killed for it, but like, it's more fun. Like, what kind of asshole would I be if I was like in the Carolina section? Your family got me tickets or got me down there, or whatever, and then I was just like,
well, you wouldn't
I was
be there
laughing.
Long. You wouldn't be there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be there long.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like
we wouldn't have a podcast.
Yeah, I know. Your mother.
I know that everyone on the internet thinks it's funny to be an asshole, but like at the end of the day, like it's not gonna get you far.
It's funny to throw a few jabs here and there,
course.
but like when you're in the
of course.
Yeah, but when you're in the section and I don't know, people were cool. Carolina fans were cool to me, man.
There's a time and a place.
I was wearing the right colors, I know, so that probably helped. I guess if I was wearing something else.
And I
was reminding them that Ohio State won by 25 in the Dean Dome last time they played. I don't know if they'd be as nice, but
well, that one really hurt. I will say after the game, I did have two nice Kansas fans that came up after me, and they were like, "Thank you for saying we're gonna win the title," and I was like, "Okay, I don't need to hear that right now." But they were like, no, it's great to play a team that, like, you know, I had respect. You know what I mean? Like, it was like a moment of sportsmanship, and as much as sportsmanship, we're like.
Tate was I want to shake your hand guy.
Yeah. I mean, it was a level. It was a level of like after playing a crass group of people that know nothing about the game and have no sportsmanship. It was nice to play like a team that I respect.
You talking about St. Peter's?
No, I'm talking about I'm talking about you know I'm talking about them who shall not be named.
Any other thoughts? Wrap this up.
Honestly, final thought is, what a trip to New Orleans. This is the best for all the friends of the program to break the fourth wall for you. This has been the best run of our every iteration of the show. We're teed up one chain.
It was 2019. That was the best. Like that was so fun having like jumping on the Virginia bandwagon.
That's what I thought. But this has topped it.
Yeah, this has topped it.
It has. And that's not to say that like the Virginia.
It has nothing to do with Carolina. Honestly,
no, it has nothing to do with Virginia. It's just like this experience for our show. We have. Both of us have grown as, you know, commentators, whatever you want to call us. Both of us have grown as people, and to have so many people on the ground appreciate our show and say that they appreciate our show and say that they turn to our show and they want to listen and talk about this game that they love, that means the world to us. And I know that, you know, we seem sometimes like we're just jerking around and acting like it's no big deal, but like this is something that we love. This is something that means so much to us. We can't even put it to words sometimes, but we try to on these stupid microphones. But to have that and to have all these people here and to have this experience, it's one for the books and one for a lifetime. So I just want to say that.
No, man, that's well said. That's how I feel about it too. Is that this was the most enjoyable March Madness to cover professionally for the show, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of it probably did have to do with Carolina and watching Carolina through you know, and experiencing that was a ton of fun. And obviously Coach K just lording over the entire thing and how that ended. Like those, I would understand if someone believed that the only reason I love this tournament was because of like that part of it. But it wasn't that part of it. It was like just as you said, man, like there's a tangible feeling of people that listen to the show or follow us or whatever. And I don't know, it makes it fun because That's ultimately all we're trying to do here is just have fun, man. We're just two dudes that like, grew up living, breathing this thing. And
talking about it with our friends and our family and like
I genuinely believe this that for the rest of both of our lives, whichever one of us dies first, probably me, but you live a more reckless lifestyle, so maybe you.
No, I'm getting in shape now.
I'm older,
I'm getting
but
in shape now. I'm done with all this stress. The stress almost killed me.
I really do think that like if the show goes away, if the imposter syndrome that I have proves to be real, and you know the president of Hollywood taps me on the shoulder and says the gig is up, man, you got to move back to Hendricks County, Indiana. I still think you and I would call each other like once a week and be like, "What are you thinking, dude?
Of course.
What do you think about the Big East this year? You know,
I mean,
what do you think about?
when the first iteration of our show was done, I literally told you that. I was like, at the end of the day, man, I'll call you and we'll talk on the phone, and it'll be the same thing.
Yeah, it'll be the
exact
exact same thing. So. And so for us to do this and to have people that. You know, like anytime you're doing media stuff and you're putting yourself out there and all that stuff, there are people that will come across the show that'll see you or on social media, whatever it is, that don't get it, Tate. They don't. You know, that happens a lot in March Madness. We put our picks out there. People get mad about our picks, all this sort of stuff. So when you see people that have been listening, maybe not all year, maybe they pop in and out. Whatever. We don't care. We're gonna be here when you're ready. Whatever. We truly don't. Yeah. When you meet those people and you talk to them and they share their experiences of like, I found your show at this point in time and, you know, like it was fun going on this run and then my team sucked the next year so I didn't listen that much, but now we're good again. So now whatever it is, like putting a face in a story to like what we're doing, which I don't mean to say like we're doing something important. It's just like we're just talking basketball, man. And like to meet people that feel the same way about the sport that we love so much that it goes beyond like a hobby. It's like it's a way of life. It's a language that you speak to people. And to see people that speak that language in the flesh, and we have not seen these people in 3 years.
Exactly.
So to see them again and to celebrate what this Final Four was a great joy of mine. And I've lost my voice for a reason, and that reason is I've spent all week that we've been here
at the 3x3.
That reason is that I have been young at the 3x, trying to communicate with the producers of 3x3U that, God damn it, I need a black coffee. Like, where's my coffee? I kept yelling that over and over. And calling Kay a rat on Saturday. That's it. That's why I lost my voice because the whole time we've been here, we've been talking to people and you want to give people all the time you have and like just, it really does feel like a big celebration. And, yeah, that's my parting thought on this season. It was a fun season. I say it every year. I'm going to say it next year that this was the most fun season that I've had doing the show. Yeah. And it continues, and I think we
have a great champion. Like we do have a great champion, and to reiterate it again, Kansas, your 2022 national champions, Ochai Agbaji, one of the greatest players in Kansas basketball history. One of the players we'll look back at and say, man, that guy was really great for college basketball. And congrats to Coach Self. Coach Self, by the way, was so nice to us. Like in the 2019 Mount Invitational, we saw him. He was nice. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, whatever.
Good guy. He might be a bad guy, but he's a good guy.
He's a BAG, but he's also a GOOD
guy.
So yeah,
take that for what you will.
Agbaji's an awesome dude too, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
Like that helps. Like he's not only a great player, but he's so easy to root for. All that being said, next year we're pivoting to Butler basketball, and this is a full-time Butler basketball podcast.
Yeah, shout out to Coach
Tate, head coach at Butler. So just FYI,
hopefully Titus doesn't get hired. I mean, I don't know what's.
I might be on staff.
That'd be great if you were on staff, though. We get some insider information.
Wouldn't it be funny?
Like Titus, are you gonna go out and drive to wherever to go recruit this kid? He's like, yeah, definitely. Yeah. And then you're like,
I'm just on podcast. Yeah. It would be funny if I did the exact podcast like we've always done it, and I'm on staff of a division of a Big East team. I come on, I'm like cracking my knuckles. I'm like, all right, take my frauds this week.
Yeah. It's like people at the school. The nutritionist at Butler is a fraud.
I name our
Tracy, our nutritionist, number one in the fraud power rankings, told me that we're going to get our guys 3,000 calories a day. They're looking slim. They're looking soft.
I do our starting five. We've lost 3 games in a row, and I'm like, these guys are bombs.
They try so hard because they're scared of the fraud power rankings. That'd be great.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
No, man, Thad Matta getting a Butler job. I know this isn't a Thad Matta show, but I'm going to say it because
No, that was great.
I'm
Saturday
about
happened. That was for me. Thad was for you.
This was such a great weekend. I'm so excited for that. And all the haters that said, what about his health? That's what affected his recruiting. I watched a man who is 75 years old and walks with a limp and has had every body part replaced in his life. He's had every replacement surgery you can have in Coach K. He's had the best recruiting classes year after year after year. Like, people talk about Thad losing his recruiting fastball. Like, recruiting, in order to get a recruit to play for you, you have to play him one-on-one, and if you beat him, he'll come to your school.
He'll come play, yeah.
Like, what? He couldn't recruit because of his health? It makes zero sense, dude. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah. And
What do you
also,
mean? Like,
it's Butler. Like, you're going to find kids that want to believe in Butler basketball. And Thad Matta is one of the most underrated coaches in college basketball history. I'm so happy for him. I mean, even outside of you, before I even knew Mark, I really, really like Thad Matta. And we talked about, me and my brother way back in the day when we were talking about, like, who's after Roy. Thad was one of the guys on the list, you know what I mean? Because he was that young.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was one of the guys where, like, if we ever did go outside of the Carolina family, Thad's a guy that I would love to hire. So I'm so happy for him.
I would go to war for Thad Matta right now.
Yeah.
Right this second. If
And
you call me right now.
You look at the players that play for Thad, like the people that they are, not even the way they play the game. Like, they're great people, you know what I mean? Greg Oden is a great guy, you know what I mean? Mike is a great guy. You're an all right guy.
Sometimes,
but I'm just saying, the man is awesome, and he's a great coach, and you love him to death.
I love him to death.
And I'm so happy for
great
you.
news for Big East basketball fans. We are going to talk more about the Big East.
Hey, Fox.
Because I will be
You
watching.
like that. Fox likes that.
I will be watching a lot of Butler basketball.
There we go, baby.
I will. If you think like me being on the Virginia bandwagon in 2019, me being on Carolina bandwagon this weekend, how many bandwagons have I been on, Tate? A lot. There are a lot.
It's a lot of wagons.
You've seen nothing like what you'll see if Butler actually has a good basketball team. I will be insufferable.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, because
can't
I
wait.
love this man. He got a raw deal at Ohio State. I am still not over it. I will never be over how this man was pushed out of Ohio State. He got over it quickly. He got paid $9 million to not coach. And he was like, Mark, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. And I was like, well, I'm an asshole, so I'm going to continue to be upset about this. And I have been, and I will root for him till my dying day. So what you're going to see next season, way too early top 25, Butler's number one.
There you go. I like that. And my way too early prediction for next season, MJ Rice from Henderson, North Carolina, McDonald's All-American that's going to Kansas, the national champion. Is going to be a freshman.
Yeah.
Going to have a big year. My boy. Saw him at the YMCA when he was this tall, and now playing for the Kansas Jayhawks, your national champions from Henderson, North Carolina. So I'm excited in that sense that my boy MJ gets to go play for the national champion. So,
dude, are you a kid?
No,
everyone tunes in on opening night next year, and you're like, you have a Kansas Jayhawk hat on. I'm a Butler.
I'm just saying, don't get upset with me if I'm Roy Williams with the Kansas patch.
No, for real. I'm wearing a Butler quarter zip, and you got a Kansas patch on. And they're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
What the hell happened here?
Yeah.
All right, we love you guys. Thank you so much for such a fun season. We are not doing the Duffies on Friday. We're going to do them next week.
Yeah.
We had a studio mishap, so the Duffies are coming. So if you're like a diehard fan of the show and you are waiting for the Duffies every single year, they are coming. We want to do them in studio because we got to put our tuxes on and have a whole thing. They're renovating our studio, so we can't do the Duffies until next Thursday. So we're gonna take a little bit of time off. I'm gonna go to the beach. I'm gonna hammer Coors Lights by the beach.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to my
celebrate college
foundation
basketball
trainer, Nick, who is a Jayhawk, by the way. My foundation trainer is a Jayhawk. He texted me in the middle of the game. He goes, man, what a game. I said, not now, Nick.
Now's not the time.
I'll see you on Wednesday, Nick.
Cheers to the Kansas Jayhawks, national champions.
Cheers, baby.
Hang the banner, but this time for real. This time
Really
it's
hang
actually,
it. Really hang it.
I say hang the banner a lot on this show. This time I actually mean it. Hang that banner. Go celebrate. What a season. God bless you all. We'll see you next time.
Go Heels.